Hello Exiles and welcome to another video. Today we're taking a look at Path of Exile 2. I just finished the normal campaign and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of tips on how to complete the campaign if it's your first playthrough, if you're having trouble with monsters and bosses and you just happen to be dying over and over. There is some tips and tricks you can do to better your play through the campaign in normal mode. So the first thing I want to go over is some of the things that I did in order to overcome certain situations if I got stuck. One of the first things you want to do, I would say for tip number one, is farm. Level up and farm as much as possible. So let's say you're currently in a zone that is, see, I'm level 48. Now I beat the campaign at about level 46. I believe it was like 45, 46. And what I would do is I would go back to past zones and just farm. I would just farm the entire map, get a bunch of loot. I would get a bunch of support uncut gems. I would get a bunch of gems, uncut gems to level up all of my skills, and this would allow me to gain a lot of power. And on top of that, you would want to look for rares and kind of unique monsters and bosses. Farm those as much as possible for previous or lower level content that you've already beat, especially bosses that you already have mastered. And this will help you to find more uncut gems, uncut support gems. It'll help you to find more loot, get more gold, so you can buy items from the vendor, which is another important tip. So if you go back to older zones, you'll just be able to pretty much wipe out everything. All the monsters will be super easy. You know, you'll hardly take any damage, and it just will be a really easy farm. Go back, farm for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, just depends on how much you need, and then you can try the boss again. For the most part, when you go back to older zones, pretty much be able to one-shot destroy everything. It'd be a breeze, and it's very relaxing to go back and farm a little older zone just so you can get some loot. Now the other important thing is to always make sure you're checking vendors. So I'm going to go to Cruel, which is where I'm at now. And if you check the vendors, there are pretty nice items that you can find from the vendor. In fact, one of the items that I'm still using right now that I used to beat the campaign in normal, and I'm still using this weapon in Cruel as well. I found this in the vendor. Now, it started with the increased physical damage mod was rolled on it, and it was just a blue item. And then I kind of crafted it up to be this. And I hit it with a corruption from the temple when I was doing the campaign. So the cool thing about this is when you check the vendor, there's always an opportunity to find something really good since they have improved the vendor's loot pool. So you may find an item that is actually really useful. So always check your vendors and be aware of the items for your class type. For example, if you are a class that uses a lot of physical damage, so you want to look for blue or rare items that has high physical damage, or even plus the skills together. You know, you may get lucky and find those two together. So if we actually look at the vendor here, so this is in Cruel, so you can kind of see sometimes they have a rare item in there, plus 4 to level of all melee skills, attack speed. See, this is really good. You can hit it with an Exalt Orb and hope for some physical damage or something like that. See, that's really good, guys. Check your vendors. And you can just find different items. They just, like this one has the physical damage and plus 2 level to all skills. That's really good. Even though it's a low roll of the physical damage, it's still pretty decent if you don't have those 2 mods particularly. And this is on a high eye level as well, so depending on which act you're on and whether you're at Cruel or not, it'll generate those items based on the level of the area you're in when you first get there. You can see, like, you can find some really good items in here. So it's always important to check the vendors. Just like Path of Exile 1, in Path of Exile 1 the vendors would have some, like you look for things with sockets. But in Path of Exile 2, you're just looking for some awesome rares. I don't think I've ever seen anything with a socket in here yet, but see, like look at this. This is really good gloves. So I'm actually gonna buy these right now. Yeah, these are an upgrade. Okay, so this is a huge upgrade to my build because it has the fire, lightning resistance, it has life, and it also has add physical damage to attacks. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy that, and that is a huge upgrade to my build. Now I can get rid of these. Because resistances is another thing that's hard to get in this game, in Path of Exile 2, because you don't have the vendor.
If you find a pint out
So
there,
I have a little issue with my dexterity. So I have both my rings. Both my rings have dexterity on it, but I'm still a little low. It says I'm 3 away, so I have to respec one of my nodes to dexterity. Probably one of my strength nodes. Alright. So that goes over those things. And there we have it, Exiles. That's a few things you could do if you have trouble getting through the campaign. The go-to 2 things that I would say is really important is, outside of learning the boss fights and the mechanics of the fight, go back and farm, guys. Farm, farm, farm. Remember to farm. Don't be afraid to farm. Level up. Get some loot. Get some gold. Buy some items from the vendor. That's like the 2 big things you can do to improve your campaign experience vastly. Don't be afraid to go back and farm. For the 3rd thing, I would say just be cognizant of your resistances, whether your armor or evasion. When you're looking for gear in the vendor, you want to look for things that have resistances. Life is a big thing. Unfortunately, in the skill tree, we don't have access to life nodes and resistance nodes, as I can see as I was looking at this skill tree. So, other than like from strength, so you'll have to look for life and resistances on your gear for the most part. So you want to look for, as much as possible, resistances and life when you're buying gear. See, I need to upgrade these boots. I beat the campaign with these boots on. I forgot to upgrade my boots. I've been playing so long, and I guess I was just really tired and not paying attention, but I'm in cruel difficulty with blue level 16 boots. But yeah, everything else is pretty upgraded. I can upgrade my helmet to a higher eye level. I got my belt. My weapon is pretty decent. Pretty sure I'm up. I can get an upgrade here soon for level 48, and eventually level 50 plus. We'll be upgrading as much as possible. So I'm actually gonna take my advice. I'm not having trouble in cruel, even though a lot of my stuff is like super low, like from -40 to -30. I'm actually doing pretty good in Act 1. I haven't died yet or anything, but yeah, I got some shopping to do. So if you guys have any trouble, remember to shop, shop, shop. Don't forget to upgrade your gear. I forgot my boots, but I beat the campaign with blue boots, if that's anything. So yeah, mercenary is actually really good. But yeah, the other thing is, yeah, be aware of whether you're going for evasion or armor. You want to make sure you focus on those. You do have an option to set up your weapon swaps to use a shield if you have an opportunity to do that. Like for example, if I wanted to, I haven't had to do this, but with grenades, you can shoot off your grenades and then pull up your shield to block if you get stuck in a corner or something like that. So those are some tips for mercenary specifically, and not for all classes, because not everyone has the abilities that the mercenary has. So now I'm just getting off record here. Let's get back on track. So yeah, focus on your stats here. Make sure to keep a mindful eye on your resistances. If you're having trouble with a particular boss, you can use charms based on what kind of abilities they are using. If they're using a fire attack, you can use this fire charm. You can use lightning, cold. There's one for slows and stuff like that. So make sure to utilize your charms as well for those specific boss fights. And that is pretty much that. I mean, from that, other than that, when you're fighting bosses, the other important thing is just don't get too mad at the boss. Just try to slow down fighting the boss. So if you're just shooting and attacking all the time, try to sit back, attack, but try to figure out what the boss's attack patterns are. So for example, sometimes I would just go in, I would just keep attacking and dodging and attacking as much as possible, trying to rush and beat the boss. And usually that would get me killed when I first started Path of Exile 2, and I learned very quickly that you need to slow down and pay attention to the boss fight. There is no enrage timer or anything that would make you lose based on the time you spend on the boss. So it's very important to just make sure you're dodging and not getting hit as much as possible. You can also find things like gain charges per second on your flask, so that if you just survive, if you're low in life, you just keep dodging and surviving and being very careful, and you get your life flask back. And there are nodes in the tree that give you flash charges as well. So when you're bossing, the important thing is to slow down and be patient. I know everyone wants to, we all play Path of Exile 1 where we're just zooming and killing everything super quickly. But in Path of Exile 2, it's a little bit more slow on these bosses, especially on your first campaign playthrough. And we don't have any gear that will make us actually be able to obliterate the bosses. So we can't just like go crazy on the bosses. However, if you do take my tip on water farming, if you go back and fight lower level bosses, you can pretty much obliterate those guys without having to worry about doing that kind of thing. But when you're progressing through content, take your time, try to memorize the boss fights, and if you're having super hard trouble, there are always guides, or you can watch other people fight the bosses. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see videos of that, if you're struggling with bosses and you want to see somebody else fight the boss, or maybe a boss guide. I could potentially do those for you guys and try to help you out with the mechanics of each boss and how to dodge and beat those. Let me know in the comments if you want videos on that, and that'll be something that I can actually focus on as well. But outside of that, I think that's everything I got for you guys. If you happen to be struggling in campaign, those are like some essential things that can really help you. I never had maxed out resistances when I beat the campaign. In fact, some of them were at 0. I think I had some that was at like almost 0, like 5-10%. But as you can see, I was using blue boots and I forgot to upgrade them, and I still beat the campaign. And essentially how I beat every boss is I would farm, make sure I have strong weapons and decent amount of life and resistances for that boss's attacks, and I would just memorize the mechanics of the boss battle and take my time. If that makes sense. So important is I would say the biggest thing is your weapon for your class. That gives you the biggest amount of damage for bossing, so that of course the less time you spend in the boss means less time of making a mistake. So you want to have a good weapon so that you're doing decent damage, but again, there's no rush. And I think that's everything we have for you guys. And if you're struggling, let me know in the comments. This game has been a blast to play. I'm having a great time in Path of Exile 2. I'm actually starting to ramp a lot on the mercenary. Once I got my ascendancy points, that's when it really started to pop off for the mercenary. And even before, I was just having a breeze because of flash grenades. So let me know, guys, what classes are you playing? You take my advice and start with the mercenary, witch hunter. I'm going to be making information and build guides on the witch hunter that I'm using right now here soon. I'm just trying to play as much as possible and try to get through and get to maps as quickly as I can so I can get content out for you guys. But yeah, we're progressing really good. Witch hunter is absolute blast to play. And yeah, until next time, I think that's everything I have for you, Exiles. Let me know in the comments what you're playing, how's your campaign going, where are you at, and what boss are you stuck on. Do you want boss guides? Let me know, subscribers here and viewers, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, Exiles, peace out.